Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to Press for Truth TV. I hope everybody had a great weekend. Today is Monday, April the 2nd, 2012, and lots of stuff going on today to talk about. But first of all, just wanted to give you a quick update about the rallies that were held on this weekend all across Canada. Of course, these were the rallies to raise awareness and to continue this call for the need for a public inquiry into the robocall scandal. So it was great to get out there and to see some of you guys. Wasn't a huge turnout, but certainly still wasn't too bad. There had to be a couple hundred people. And so we're working on now cutting together our video of some interviews we did with some of the people there, and we just documented the event. So we're working on getting that up as soon as we can. So if you didn't happen to make it and you want to see how it went, we'll have that video up very, very shortly. Also, just another quick reminder that tomorrow night at 7 p.m. is the Richard Gage speaking event, which is taking place at the University of Toronto. So I'll put a link in the description to where you can purchase tickets for that event. And we hope to see you there. It's tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. And I'll be there to talk a little bit about the release of our latest DVD, the Toronto Hearings into 9/11. So I hope to see some of you guys there as well. And as for today, we just so happen to have the North American Leaders Summit taking place today as I speak in Washington, D.C. President Barack Obama is meeting with Stephen Harper and President of Mexico, Felipe Calderon. This is their annual Leaders Summit. This, I believe, is the sixth one, and it tracks back as far as I would say 2005, with the first summit of this kind being the Security and Prosperity Partnership that was signed between Paul Martin at the time and Vicente Fox of Mexico and George Bush. But that didn't last too long. Many people kind of exposed some of the agendas of the Security and Prosperity Partnership and pointed out how this is all backdoor, closed-door meetings, that these trade deals were being discussed and so forth. So they ended up having to rebrand themselves and rename the thing to the North American Leaders Summit. So that is precisely what we see taking place today. And I find it interesting that this would be taking place today when not even, less than a week ago, we had all three defense ministers from Canada, US, and Mexico meeting in Ottawa to discuss how to deal on a trilateral basis, how to deal with potential threats that may come in the future. So it's interesting. I just touched on that on Friday's vlog, just leading into the weekend there. And within the same week, we have the three leaders meeting for the North American Leaders Summit to discuss these agendas to bring us closer to the North American Union agenda. Of course, that's not what we're being told on the surface. The mainstream media, no doubt, will report about these meetings today that the leaders are getting together to talk about trade, yes, but to also talk about drugs and how to win the current war on drugs. But we can see right through what they're trying to do. The war on drugs has brought more drugs into the streets, more people in prisons. Just like the war on poverty brings more poverty, and war on terrorism has, brought in more so-called terrorism. So we're being led to believe that they're discussing how to deal with the war on drugs. Meanwhile, we know that what they want is a monopoly on the drug trade and the drug industries, not to bring down the Mexican drug cartels or to stop these drugs from crossing the border. They're often the ones who are involved with bringing the drugs across the border. The CIA was caught in a drug smuggling programs back during the Clinton era, and many of us are well aware that another reason for the U.S. military to be uh, going into Afghanistan back when they invaded was not only for the oil, but Afghanistan is the world's largest producer of opium, the ingredient needed to make heroin. So many people know that they want to monopolize the drug trade, and certainly that's some of the things being discussed today at the meetings. Of course, they also say that they're talking about how to better further trade between the three countries. But many of us who have been following this, even as far back as some of the earlier trade agreements, like the FTA and the NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, a lot of us became aware of some of the problems, like in particular under the Chapter 11. There's a clause there that would allow corporations to sue the Canadian government, for example, if they do not hold up to their end of the deal as far as these trade deals that have been set up. And this is this is never leading towards benefiting the people of Canada or the U.S. A good example is with the case of pesticide use on our food here in Canada. Now, they say that they're trying to harmonize the industry standards across the board, and they use words like harmonize to make it sound better. But really, are Canadians the ones who benefit? In the case with food pesticides, pesticides used on our foods, we Canadians hold a higher standard than the Americans. So in order to harmonize these standards, are the Americans going to have to raise their standards? No. What's happening is Canadians have to lower our standards in regards to how much pesticides are used in food, just so that we can be more harmonized with how things are going on in the United States. So again, when we see these things on the surface, they're saying it's about trade, it's about drugs. It is, in a sense, about trade and drugs, but it's about a way to control and to monopolize the drug industry, and to move these trade deals into a direction that's not going to benefit the people of Canada, U.S., and Mexico, but benefit the powers that be. Essentially, when you're centralizing power into fewer hands, that's pretty much what's going on in a nutshell. If their agenda does in fact unfold the way they would like to see it. So, a lot of these topics as well, we've covered extensively this particular topic in two of our previous films. I mentioned it last week in Friday's vlog about how we cover a lot of this in United We Fall. But I didn't mention that we also talk a great deal about this stuff in our first film, The Nation's Deathbed. And we released that film back in 2008. And it's interesting to go back and look at some of the things that we documented in that film at that time, because now we're starting to see a lot of the things that we discussed way back then coming true today. So I'm going to put a link in the description to both of those as well. And I also want to direct you to another website that has a lot of great information about the NAU agenda. This is coming from a friend of mine, Mike, who runs nauresistance.org. Mike is also a PFT subscriber, so if you're watching today, how are you, man? Hope you're well. And guys, Mike does a lot of great work. He's a very well-researched individual, and I would consider him a trustworthy, reliable source. So if you want to learn more about the NAU agenda, check out his site, nauresistance.org, which I believe will redirect you to his newest domain, naunews.org. And again, a great wealth of information there about the North American Union agenda as well. So check those out, those links in the description today if you want to learn more about what's going on with this NAU agenda that they are currently trying to put together right now as we speak down in Washington, D.C. And so anyways, guys, that's it for today. Thank you once again for tuning in, and I will see you all right back here tomorrow. Okay, take care.